This is ASAC Online. Welcome to Agriculture on Site. I'm Busani Bafana. In today's program, we talk about the basis of agriculture production, seedlings. Information and know-how is power, more so for farmers. When farmers know what they are doing, they thrive. My guest today is Perfect Ngulube, an agronomist who is also involved in seedlings production. Ngulube, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
What is the role of an agronomist? And why should farmers, in a way, be friends with you?
Okay. So all I can say is that an agronomist is just like a doctor. So that's where I come in as an agronomist. What I do is, you are a farmer, you come to me and say, Mr. Ngulube, I have this kind of challenge in my plots. Right? I diagnose the problem, just like a doctor. I diagnose the problem. That's right. Yeah, you planted your crop, you planted your cabbage. It is this kind of problem. What's the problem? After diagnosing, I tell you, right, I give you a prescription. And the prescription is the what? Is the chemical that you need to use so that your crop can be protected from the pest or the disease. Then after the prescription, I come back and do a review on you did this, I gave you this medication, I gave you this pesticide, I gave you this pesticide program, I gave you this chemical program, and you used it. After using it, then what happens next? Did you improve on your the situation at your farm, or the situation is still the same? So that's the whole basis of the job of an agronomist.
What inspired you to go into agronomy?
Oh, the main thing that inspired me to go into agronomy is I wanted to play a huge role in the food chain, in the food production chain. I wanted to be involved, to be primarily involved in food security in the country, food security in the world at large. So my involvement in the nitty-gritties of production, it's what inspired me to venture into agronomy and say, right, this is the course that I want to study at tertiary level, and I want to be an agronomist. I had the hunger to be involved in food production and change the basis of food security in my country and in the world at large.
Talking of food security, as you put it,
Yes.
the basis to, in fact, food security and agriculture production is the seed. Why is it important that farmers should know, in this case, the right seedlings to plant, and also the type of seedling that they should actually have?
So what happens, the importance of seed production is seed is the basis. Yes, we have the soil as the mother of everything, but seed is the basis where the whole story starts. So farmers need to understand that not all seed is viable, and we have what you call climate. So every region has its type of crops that can thrive from there. Apart from the fact that we can engineer the climate through the use of greenhouses and grow our crops under controlled conditions, but apart from the greenhouses and growing our crops under controlled conditions, we need to understand the fact that not all seed is viable everywhere. Like we would understand that if I'm supposed if a crop can thrive in this region, our region, Matabeleland, you'll find out that that same crop might not thrive well where in Manicaland or Mashonaland region there. Yes. So the main importance of understanding that that seed is the basis. Farmers need to know what to grow on which climate. The climatic conditions are the one that are the controlling factor, and they need to understand that every crop has a season. And when every crop has a season, yes, we try to somehow engineer the environment that you can grow some of our crops all year round. But you need to first understand that there are some seasons that are more conducive for some crops, and there are varieties of seed that are more conducive for the type of environment, the climate, the weather conditions,
I
Yes.
take it then that's where you actually come in and
Yeah.
and provide that advice. But how does a
That's where
farmer
I come
actually
in.
arrive at making a decision that, like for example, I want to grow kale, I would like to grow tomatoes, but how do they then? What factors should they consider in making a decision on the type of crop they can actually grow?
Firstly, what farmers need to consider is the resources at hand, the budgets at hand, because we understand that with these crops, there are some of these crops that really need a lot of tender love and care. Like the tender love and care for crops is the chemication, the fertilizers, the watering. So you need to first identify your site. You have identified your site, yes. Then how is the water situation in your site? Cabbage is a heavy feeder of both water and nutrients, as you understand. So am I able to grow cabbage in my plot? Yes or no? What other options can I explore? A crop that doesn't get, if the water is limited, I have to explore other options as a farmer. That which other crop can I consider farming that doesn't require getting a lot of water retention? Right. I can go then for what? For kale chomolia. Because my water is limited. I can't go for a heavy feeding crop with limited water. Right. Then from there, I need to check my pocket. Like, right, the chemical program for the cabbage, the tomatoes might be stringent on my pocket. So if the chemicals and the fertilizers are stringent on my pocket, what cheaper crop can I do with my limited resources? I go for the what? For the cheaper crops that don't need a lot of spraying, that don't need a lot of watering, that don't need a lot of fertilizers. Because if I go for a crop that needs a lot of fertilizers and attracts a lot of pests and diseases, it might not be easy for me to pull through harvest. So I need a crop that is friendly on my pocket. That's where I come to a decision that no, I need to go to what? Maybe try kale, because my pocket is limited for now. Then I do mass production of kale. I give it water, I give it manure without even using fertilizer, because what I take is crops like kale, chomolia, rape, and these leafy greens like spinach. I always say fertilizers change their taste. Like we give it a lot of ammonium nitrate, changes their taste. So I need a lot of organic fertilizers. So what do I have? I have a few cows as a farmer. I have cows there. I have the manure readily available. Let me go for the cheaper crop. Then when I'm financially balanced, I can go for these heavy crops that need a lot of chemication and a lot of fertilizers for them to survive.
Interesting. So then you work a lot with the soil. Maybe
Yes.
can you just explain why is it why it's important for actually healthy soil that farmers can actually then consider really as an important thing to have?
Yes, a healthy soil is truly like gold to farmers, because working with an infected soil can give you a lot of challenges in your crop management. Like you are breeding diseases, you're breeding pests on your soil because you don't have a healthy soil. At the end of the day, you will be affecting your crop quality. Your crop quality is affected. You try planting this, we have this kind of disease, you try controlling it. After controlling it, we have another disease that we have to control. And at the end of the day, the more you spend on crop protection, the profits are going down. So you need a healthy soil as possible, that as much as possible, so that the pests, the diseases, they don't have a position in your field. Because at the end of the day, you discover that a farmer wants to maximize yield, but at the end of the day, they are more relaxed on on their soil health. Soil health is important because it gives you the basis of the crop. Healthy plants come from a healthy soil, and that's one fact that we can't escape in farming. So we need to try as much as possible to understand that the soil is a very important mineral in farming. If we don't try as much to sustain our soil, then we will lose the war on crop production. We will lose the war on food security. So that's why the government and other NGOs, they are now cutting off other, let me say, other chemicals. Like other chemicals are now prohibited from use, or they are cut off from use. Why? It's because we want to try and protect our soils as much as possible, because they will be unfriendly to our soils. We're trying to protect our soils. So scientists are working overtime to try and find ways that we can maximize on crop protection and also soil protection.
There's a lot of talk about sustainable farming, but how does this actually look like in practice?
So what happens in sustainable farming is we're trying to use a lot of conservatory measures as possible. We need to conserve the water. Water conservation is involved in sustainable farming. We need to conserve the soil. That's where use of organic fertilizers comes in. Like, we try as much as possible to reduce any threat to our soils and our crops. We're trying to reduce any threat to our health also. That's where sustainable farming comes in. Because for the health of the consumer of the products, we are trying as much as possible to reduce feeding our crops with a lot of chemical and a lot of chemical-based fertilizers. Why? Because we are trying to produce to protect the final consumer of the products from the cancers that are now very common. It's because some of the cancers come from the chemicals that we are feeding our crops, like and feeding our soils on a daily basis. So sustainable farming, we are trying as much as possible to reduce anything that is degradatory to our soils. We're trying to protect our soils from degradation. We're also trying to conserve the soil water in as much as conserve water. We're trying to, in a way, to use the most sustainable measures to reduce a lot of threats to our soils that might affect our soils, the crop itself, and the end consumer of our products.
Which crops then would you say hold the key to future food security?
The crops that I would say hold the key to future food security, I don't want to be biased to horticulture because I'm mainly into horticulture. But I think if farmers try to produce a lot of leafy greens as possible, a lot of the kales, a lot of kale, a lot of rape, a lot of spinach, like, there are crops that don't need a lot for us to produce. But you discover that 90% of the households in Africa or Zimbabwe at large, maybe 90% of the households, they consume these leafy greens. In every dinner table, they consume these leafy greens for Africans. So I think if we produce a lot of leafy greens in as much as horticulture is concerned, a lot of leafy greens, the spinach, the kale, the rape, I think those are very nutritive. At the same time, the cost of production is very low. Yeah. Yes.
Could young people, in fact, be involved in a peri-urban farming as a viable business venture?
Yeah, I think youth need to get highly involved in farming, whether small scale or large scale. I think the youth need to be more involved in these programs, because I think as youth we mainly have a tendency I think it's a negative mindset towards farming. We think that farming is for the somehow uneducated, or we have pride of carrying the wall and getting into the garden, of which that's not the issue. I think farming is supposed to be a stress reliever. Like, youths are now involved in drugs and whatsoever. If you feel like you are overwhelmed by things, get a wall, go to the garden. and you relieve a lot of stress, and it will remove with the level, the rate of unemployment that we have in the country. I think if we try as youths to venture into this entrepreneurship projects, small gardens. I have a garden of maybe 1,000 chomolia, 1,000 rape. I can survive. It relieves stress of me going and venturing into doing drugs and whatsoever. So I think youth need to find farming as a hobby.
What opportunities are there, particularly looking at horticulture and knowing that we are actually involved in seed production, in seedlings production rather?
So opportunities that are there as a seed producer or in horticulture as a whole, like we have some niche products that are not advocated for. Like for example, we have products like we have cherry tomatoes, we have products like English cucumbers. They are niche products, and not so many farmers venture into those. But demand from them is very high. We need the salads, but the demand for those kind of crops, it's very high, but the production of them or the supply for them is very low. We have the lettuces, the fancy lettuces, the demand for them is very low. So I think as an opportunist or a farmer, I think people need to try and venture in those niche products that have a high return. At the same time, the supply for the crops is very low, because we have a lot of baby plants that are now in the market that are on demand, but a lot of people, they just don't know about them, or they are a bit relaxed about them. I think those are the crops that we need to venture in. And also I realized that right now in our country we have a lot of investors that are coming into the country from different parts of the world, mainly the Chinese. And so what happens is they are crops that those people really like and want on their meals. So I think we need to find those type of crops and produce them at larger scales, so that we can get that market. Because we don't want to have a situation whereby we have our Chinese nationals that are coming into the country. We can't even supply them with part of the herbs that they put in their meals, because it's part of their culture. We might not be familiar with those crops, but we need someone who's going to grow those niche crops to cater for that market.
Seedlings on 44, you are actually involved in the production of seedlings. Maybe you could actually walk us through what some of the activities that you do, and also how you actually filling in this gap, in the supply really of seedlings in the market.
So the truth about filling in the gap, it's a struggle, because the demand is very high, but we are trying to keep up, and we are trying to increase the rate of production as much as possible. Because I can say maybe every week we get maybe a lot of new clients, a lot of new customers, schools. So yeah, it's quite overwhelming, but we chose to do this, and we're trying to keep up with the demand for the seedlings. We understand that a lot of schools are now into horticulture production. A lot of non-governmental organizations are sponsoring horticulture production to orphans, and so the demand is very high. We have a lot of organizations venturing into agriculture, and as a reliable seedling producer, we need to keep up with the demand. And we are still soldiering on, we're still building more structures, we're still investing in our business. Yes.
Interestingly, what is driving this demand, and what kind of types of seedlings are you actually producing?
So the drive to the demand in seedling production is that food production is now at its peak, and everyone is trying to produce something to eat. Like we have backyard farmers, we have large-scale farmers, we have medium-scale farmers. Everyone is just trying to produce something, and everyone is trying to fight for food security. So the issue of an increase in the demand of food is the one that's driving, and the increase in population is the main drive to the demand for the seedlings, the demand for food, the demand for having something to eat on the table is driving the demand. And I think in the recent years we've discovered that farming is a hobby for men. So we are now under pressure to produce as much seedlings as possible because everyone is trying to fight the war of food security.
Given the importance and also the demand really for seed, many times farmers would actually grow their crops and save the seed for growing the next season. And the same thing sometimes applies even with vegetables. But then would you say that there is need for farmers to actually get a new seed every season?
I know that monies are not easy to find, but I would recommend that farmers try and buy seeds every season. You buy new seed, because what you do is this issue of seed retention comes with a lot of diseases. Like you have a carryover of diseases from the past crop to the next crop due to what? Due to retained seed. And also farmers need to understand that now we have a lot of hybrid seed varieties, and these hybrid seed varieties, they are mainly built in a way that they are more resistant to a lot of diseases. They are more tolerant to situations like frost, and so it's quite important to try and learn more about these new varieties, the new seeds that are now available in the market, just to maximize the production scale. Because what happens is, in the past before these hybrids were there, we're doing a lot of OPVs, and so OPVs, yes, they are fine. I'm not decampaigning open pollinated varieties, but for you to increase your yields, I think it's important to try hybrid production. Why? Because they are engineered in a way that they protect in a way that even they reduce on cost of pest control and disease control. Why? Because they are engineered in such a way that the producers of these seeds, they try their best to have these seeds a bit resistant and tolerant to some of the harsh conditions like diseases and pests, and also weather conditions. Yes.
Yeah, very interesting. What advice would you give to young people who are considering a career, maybe say in farming, specifically even in agronomy?
My advice to young people who want to venture in the agriculture field or the farming field, I would say go for it, because we will never have a situation whereby we don't need food, and the market for everything is there. So we just need a lot of players as much as possible in the food production industry who are going to join hands and join forces and say we want to be involved in food security.
As a seed producer, can farmers in fact buy seed or even become an agent really for seedlings as a business?
Yes. They are very welcome, because the market is overwhelming for us. We need a lot of people that we can engage, that we can give our products as we produce the seedlings, that they can be a middleman on our behalf.
Yeah. What do they do? Where do they go? Maybe you could just tell us where you are located and where can they find you?
Okay, if farmers want to engage with us, our offices are located at Dunnington. It's number 5 Aston Road in Dunnington. In case there are people who want to venture into production, or they want the seedlings, or they want to buy seedlings and they don't know their go-to person, they can find me on my socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I am Perfect Ngulube. on my socials. Then also for everyone who's in Matabeleland and Midlands, I'm the commercial sales agronomist for Matabeleland region and the Midlands region at large. I can say I cover the southern region as a custodian or representative of Seedlings 144. So they can get in touch on my email. It's perfect@seedlings144.co.zw, and my phone number, if they want to contact, it's 0786 432 032.
There you are, farmers. Information and knowledge is power. And agronomists are the experts. This is Asake Online. Remember to contact us on all our social media platforms on CITE ZW.